The Office of Venture and Innovation works inside DHS because my colleague, the director, Molly Kane, and I, we do what we can to meet with the CIOs and CTOs and other people in the DHS components to talk to them about what their missions are and what they need from technology in general, whether that's integration or software. And then we try what we can to find emerging technologies, whether it's from the venture capital community or the startup community or even standard organizations around the Beltway that we've worked with before for even decades, like IBM or CSRA or AFS, any company, and see what we can do to help connect those types of organizations with the people who have the buying power and make the buying decisions as part of their mission. The Office of Venture and Innovation planned and executed a West Coast trip for 35 CIOs within DHS and DOJ. So we took them out to Silicon Valley and San Francisco and a couple other cities in California and met with companies. We met with multiple venture capital firms. We met with NVIDIA, we met with a number of companies ranging from those who have worked with the federal government for years to only brand new startups, and the venture capital firms that we met with, including Andreessen Horowitz and NEA, brought in some of their startups to pitch to the federal CIOs. It gave the federal CIOs, the ones within DHS and DOJ, an interesting view on what's up and coming, so that way they understand what the horizon of emerging technology looks like, so they could start considering it as part of their long-term technology strategy within their component. One of the things that we had as a follow-up is reaching out to the various companies that they found really interesting and connecting them to have further conversations about some of the technology. One of the favorites was NVIDIA, and so there have been a number of follow-up conversations with NVIDIA and some of the technology coming out from there. The Office of the Chief Procurement Officer under Soraya Correa has done some really great things with trying to shorten the process times and find various buying capabilities that are not in the traditional way. So finding contract vehicles that can move technology faster, that can bring in emerging technologies faster, especially if they're not part of the Schedule 70 and GSA lists. So they're able to come in and at least pilot or do proof of concept as they get ready to drive forward with ATOs and FedRAMP processes, which are something that startups and younger companies that haven't worked for the federal government before, they are not used to dealing with that kind of stuff. We also have a procurement innovation lab, which is the PIL, and it falls under the Chief Procurement Officer, and they find different and new ways of making acquisitions easier for companies, whether that's for an integrator or for a software or any kind of emerging technology. The Office of Venture and Innovation loves other transaction authorities. We are still trying to understand and work through those. I know it's something that DHS is interested in and looking at. I don't have any direct involvement in most acquisitions because Molly and I do a lot more what we call mission matching. So we find the technology, pair it with a component, and bring them together. So they do a lot of the acquisitions piece from their perspective. But I know USCIS, we've worked with them and they've been working on using OTAs to be able to procure technology much faster. To be less intimidating to work with DHS, we recommend that the companies focus on a specific mission area. I will say a lot of companies don't understand the full mission set of DHS because, of course, it's 22 components in Homeland Security, and each one of the components have fairly different missions. I mean, we all know the main missions of TSA and Customs and Border Protection, ICE and CIS, but there are a lot of smaller components that people and especially technology companies are less aware of. So as we're meeting with companies, we understand their product, and then because Molly and I know our mission set, the DHS mission set pretty well, we'll see a company, we're like, oh, they would be perfect for this person in NPBD, which does infrastructure protection. Or we'll think of something that would be really great for the Border Patrol, but may also work very well for Coast Guard. Focus on what your technology is, because you know that best, and we'll help you understand the mission and how it connects and how they fit together. What we do is we focus not necessarily on open source technology, but open sourcing our custom developed code out to the public. It has been a very novel idea for some people, and it has been a difficult path getting that rolling forward. I won't lie, but it's catching on, and it's great because we have companies that work within the components that want to open source, that understand how beneficial it can be. We are now working with the government people to understand what open sourcing custom developed code looks like, what it means, how DHS can benefit from that, and how the community, whether it's within the United States or internationally, can benefit from seeing some of DHS's code and even being able to help fix that code. It's been a shift in mentality and a culture shift, but we are definitely trying to drive that forward. One of the activities that we're doing is an inner source project. We're first open sourcing code within DHS components, so that way the various components can see each other's code and reuse that, and then from there we'll look at driving it forward to open sourcing it publicly. One of the greatest opportunities that DHS has with open source comes from the Common Framework team at Customs and Border Protection. They create a number of different modules that will allow the different CBP apps to look exactly the same. So if you think about the Gap company, it's Gap and Piper Lime and Old Navy. If you go onto their website, the search bar is in the same place. The functionality looks the same. The web pages are stood up the same. CBP took on that model and started creating modules that they've open sourced publicly that allow the different CBP apps, whether they're created internally or externally, to look and feel the same. So that way we can provide a better user experience for any customs users, whether they're going through the Trusted Traveler program or it's more internal and they're using it for a cargo application. It makes it easier to design the applications because they're all 508 compliant already, so it makes that development time faster and easier for users to use the applications. I was a stay-at-home mom and I was ready to go back to work, and I finished my degree, and a friend of mine told me about a program that I was accepted into, and I started at Customs and Border Protection. I knew nothing about IT, I knew nothing about tech, and I have a degree in business. So I started at CBP and I just started learning because I was in the operations side, which I knew absolutely nothing about. A Unix server meant nothing to me. I just started reading and learning, and then a colleague of mine needed help with an applications migration team. And I knew nothing about it, and he said, "It's okay, you'll learn." And so that's sort of how my career began. I was put on these teams to run as the federal lead, and even though I knew nothing about it, I just learned it. And my boss at the time, who's a great mentor for me, he would say, "I need you to run this application development team." And I said, "I know nothing about application development." He's like, "It's okay, you'll learn." So I always had a mentor who pushed me to learn. And I've always stayed within Homeland Security because I truly love the mission. I am an American through and through. I'm an Army brat. I was an Army wife. I truly believe in what Homeland Security does, because protecting the homeland, it's a mission that matters to me, and that's what keeps me going, and I just want the best for the Department of Homeland Security. When Molly and I got together and she was doing some neat stuff with Venture and Innovation, before I came along, I connected with her, and it just seemed to make sense because I am always looking for ways to drive emerging technology and innovation forward in the federal government, specifically at Homeland Security. It just worked with Molly and me, with her mission to bring in technology and my mission to help drive it forward within DHS. I don't think there's a more honorable mission than protecting our homeland and making sure that we have safe, secure borders and that travel and trade and immigration flows smoothly. And if IT can help do that, then that's what I like.